Hi. Oh my god, I can feel the brain cells leaving my body. I can feel them shutting down. I can feel them clocking out for the day. This is the third video I've recorded tonight, and I did want to get to one more, so we have to make this snappy. But hello. What's up? How is it going? How are you? I'm Jay. I am in the midst of a quarter life crisis, which is why I thought starting a booktube channel was a good idea. I have been doing this booktube channel for almost a year, and I have not done this video. I don't know why it took me so long, but this channel is named My 0.25 Life Crisis, and I could not rest peacefully until I did a video like this. So to set some expectations, this is not going to be books to help you overcome your quarter life crisis. This is not going to be advice giving. Like, I have no advice to give. Like, I'm 26 years old. I'm a child. I'm not a child. I mean, depending on who you talk to, I'm a child, but I am not old. I am not qualified is what I'm trying to say. This is more like a personal sort of like get to know me and like the things that I'm going through. Not a lot, I promise. This is more of like, here are the books that are currently helping me through this time of my life. These are books that currently represent me during this time of my life. And perhaps if you see yourself in this book video, these books might be enjoyable or comforting for you to read as well. I have 4 books to talk to you about. So the spectrum is going to be from most general books that I would recommend to anyone like generally going through quarter life crisis feels, to most specific, which are books that have helped me a lot or have been very comforting to me during my quarter life crisis, but they are very specific to me, and I apologize if they're not specific to you. So yeah, so that is kind of like the intro. I just wanted to set your expectations up front, but I have been dying to do this video since I first started my booktube channel, and I'm so excited to be doing it with you right now. Okay, so without further ado, let us get into the books. So the first one I want to show you is Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. This was quite popular, I feel like 1 or 2 years ago. I saw this when Read with Cindy recommended it. It's a memoir about a therapist who details her experiences with some of her patients, as well as her own relationship with her therapist. I feel like this is a great general recommendation because, especially when the therapist describes some of the challenges that her patients are going through or her clients are going through, you're going to find something to relate to in that. Like, I feel like you don't have to be going through something super specific in order to relate to even like one nugget in this book. I personally related to the author's struggles with like going through a career change. Read with Cindy, when she reviewed this book, I don't think she mentioned like some of the trials that the author was going through. Her review focused a lot on like what the patients or what the clients were going through and what their experiences were. But I found the author's own journey and how she even became a therapist to be really relatable to my own quarter life crisis. If you're kind of like in a situation where you're struggling with like questions of what you want to do with your life, what career you want to take, do you want to pursue a creative endeavor or do you want to money? Those are things that the author goes through in this book, and it was really comforting to see those written out. But again, that's what I personally got out of this book. There are so many other things that you could get out of it. So I feel like there's a lot in here that you can relate to, even if our quarter life crises look different. So that's book number 1. Book number 2, I don't have a physical copy, and even right from here we're going to get a little bit more specific. So this next book I'm going to be talking about is The Midnight Library. It's about like a young woman sort of in her 30s who has come to the realization that she hasn't done much with her life. And when she comes to that realization, she kind of decides that she doesn't have anything in her life that's keeping her there, and so she decides to end it. But in the space between life and death, she sees a library, and in this library are shelves that go on for infinity. And each book on that shelf represents a life that she could have lived if she even made one minuscule different choice. And she has an opportunity to step into these lives and see if there's one that she wants to take on instead. This idea of infinite choices and wanting and wondering what could have been is something that is painfully relevant to my quarter life crisis. Not the the trigger warning aspects in the beginning. Don't worry, I'm fine. But, my quarter life crisis has been in high gear because in 2020, I lost my job. Take a wild guess why. I ended up moving in with my parents again in my childhood home. That's where I'm filming from. And I had a lot of internal reflections about my career path and wondering, should I have chosen a creative career? Would I have been happier if I had picked a practical career that I maybe wasn't passionate about but was financially stable? All of these what ifs. And this book came to me at a very appropriate time, and it was so comforting to read. So I think if you related to any of the things I've said about my own quarter life crisis, this would be a comforting book for you to pick up. I will say the ideation in the beginning of the book, I don't know if it warrants a trigger warning, but I feel if you were in a headspace where you could be susceptible to that, I feel reading the main character's kind of thought process. I could see how that could be a little too powerful for someone who is already susceptible to those feelings. So I would keep that in mind.
Hi, it's Editing Jay in person. I just wanted to jump in and expand on my thoughts about the Midnight Library. In my incredibly unbiased opinion, it's great, I love it, and I want to be able to share it with more people. Related to the trigger warnings, obviously you have to take care of yourself. If you think that reading the book could trigger some things for you, I totally get it, I totally understand. If it helps at all, I honestly think you can skip over the first few chapters if that's something that concerns you. I can't remember what chapter it is, but chapter 000000 or The Librarian, I can't remember which, opens with the main character right in front of the library, and from there you would be good. I don't think there are any other triggering aspects in the book from that point on. It really is only in the beginning, and the majority of the book focuses on this concept of alternate timelines and infinite possibilities. And the overall message of the book is just positive and hopeful, and I would love to share that with other people. I do think that it's a really comforting read. Yeah, so that's just my humble follow-up pitch. I love this book a lot, and I want to share it with other people, so yeah. Thank you for indulging in this. Okay, back to the video.
Book number 3. I went back and forth on whether or not I was going to include this because I'm a little embarrassed by this book. So I talked about this book, The Family Fang, in previous videos. I did a collaboration with my good internet friend Camilla, where I recommended this book to her. And even in that video, I anguished over whether or not I was going to recommend it because The Family Fang is kind of my hidden gem. I'm the only person I know of who's read it, and I do love it, but I also feel there are some things about it that are just a little too weird to recommend to other people. So I keep it close to my heart. But I'm finally ready to say, I like this book, and you might like it too if you're going through similar quarter life crisis feels. Okay. Another thing that makes it challenging to recommend this book is that it comes with a bit of backstory. So let me explain. So this book follows a family called the Fangs, and they are a family of performance artists. What they do is they essentially go into public places and they cause a spectacle, they cause chaos, they cause some sort of weird and wonderful disruption to happen. It's almost like a YouTube prank show. You've heard of those videos of YouTubers going into public places and causing a scene and pranking unsuspecting passersby. That's kind of what they're doing, except they consider it high performance art. And this environment of always expecting something weird and chaotic to happen, always having to be on your guard in some way, has shaped the two kids in the story, Annie and Buster, and has low-key, psychologically traumatized them. This very unique experience of their childhood has kind of informed their own artistic pursuits. Annie is an actress, and Buster is a author who writes kind of like really weird, depressing books. And basically this backstory I've just set up for you colors like kind of like how they move through the world and how they are trying to heal after like all of the chaotic drama that their parents have put them through. This book is very personal to my heart. I found this book when I was in college. It's a funny story. I used to intern in like this artist studio, and there would be like this giveaway section in the hallway, you know, where you would like throw out your trash, but because like they were all artists, it was always like quirky, fun trash. There were like fun like furniture pieces, there were like bits of art projects that didn't work out, and there was also this book. And I thought that just like even the experience of finding this book was an interesting enough story that I wanted to pick it up. And then I ended up really liking it. Also, like, in terms of how this relates to my quarter-life crisis, I feel like I kind of feel like I'm Buster in the sense that I'm like someone who wants to be a writer but also kind of feels like a deadbeat. My therapist told me to stop calling myself a deadbeat, and I'm working on it. Like, he just has all these feelings that he wants to write about, but he also is, like, sad and not confident in himself. So, like, this isn't necessarily, like, a helpful read. It's more just, like, a comfort, entertaining read that, like, I personally related to, like, one struggling artist to another. I don't know if I'll recommend this book. Here's the thing. There are, like, things that are weird about it. There's also, like, a, like, romance with, like, a pretty significant age difference. Buster, who's, like, kind of, like, in his 30s, starts dating, like, a college student. You know, like, that's not something I love about the story. I think, like, narratively it works for the story, even though I don't like that Buster did that, if that makes sense. You know, like, I feel the need to, like, mention that, even though that's not necessarily what the story's about. But yeah, that's the Family Fang. I am finally bold enough to recommend this to other people if your quarter-life crisis also relates to your struggling artist crisis. Okay, so the last book on this list, again, very specific to me, and again, not a self-help book, not gonna help you through your quarter-life crisis, but it's just a comfort read, something that feels painfully relatable to my experience as being a lost 26-year-old trying to make her way in this world. It is An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. Okay, so let me explain. I hesitate to put this on the internet because I don't really know how BookTube overall feels about the Green brothers, John and Hank. You know, I feel like they've been meme-ified. I feel like it's, like, cool to make fun of them, and it's a little embarrassing for me, who genuinely loves them. Fun fact, I was not a fan of John or Hank Green when I was a teenager, which is normally when you get into them. I knew of Fault in Our Stars, but I didn't read it at the time for reasons we'll get into in later videos. I was just a bitch. Like, at the time, I only read YA dystopian novels. I had one genre and I stuck with it. So I knew of John Green, but I didn't know that he was a YouTuber, and I didn't know he had a brother until, like, I got to college. And, like, I think, like, in recent years, I've started to rely on the Vlogbrothers for, like, quarter-life crisis related comfort. Like, they had specific videos that were very relatable to the things I was experiencing at the time and still am experiencing to a certain degree, and I found them, like, so comforting and so soothing. Like, John and Hank Green are my self-care. And it's embarrassing to say that because y'all just, like, make fun of his pretentious writing style. And yes, it's pretentious, but, you know, like, shut up. I'm kidding. We're all allowed to have our own opinions. But anyway, we're not talking about John Green. We're talking about Hank. John Green's younger brother, Hank, wrote An Absolutely Remarkable Thing. It was widely popular on BookTube. If you haven't read it, you definitely have heard of it. An Absolutely Remarkable Thing is about a young 23-year-old post-grad art student who one night, while walking home from her deeply unsatisfying job, comes across what she thinks is a sculpture. It's this gigantic robot warrior-esque sculpture. It's impressive, it's striking, and she feels compelled to record a video about this discovery. And in a move she couldn't predict, this video goes absolutely fucking viral. This sculpture becomes the biggest news story of that year, and she essentially was the first person to report it. And because of that, she catapults to fame and fortune. What was the statue, you are asking? What's the deal with the statue? I will tell you, it's a big spoiler, and I don't know who's watching this, but I feel like either you know the spoiler, in which case keep watching, or two, you know this book but you didn't want to read it at the time, and I'm hoping that I'm like inspiring you to perhaps read it, in which case I will include a timestamp. Please skip this part. But what was the statue? The statue was an alien. Like an alien. Transformers, robots in disguise, alien. I remember hearing booktubers like tell me that, and I immediately at the time tapped out of wanting to read the book. I was like, you had me, you almost had me, but then you said robot alien. And I'm here to tell you, please don't do that. I mean, or do, I'm not your boss. Like, if you accept the science fiction heavy emphasis on the fiction, then you're gonna love the book. I mean, or I should rephrase, there's a great chance of you liking the book. And how this relates back to me in my quarter-life crisis is that I read this specifically, I was 23 when I first picked this up, so I was the same age as the character. And also, our experiences were very similar. Like, I had just graduated college. I also went to a liberal arts school and was trying to make a career out of that. I, similar to the main character, was living in an incredibly expensive city and making so little money. But at the time, like, living in that expensive city felt worth it because what I wanted was to be an artist, and I felt that by just living in an artistic place that I was fulfilling that dream. And there's even a line in this book that says that. Like, reading April's perspective from those first 3 chapters was so like painfully relatable to me, and just the stage of life I was in, that it was like really comforting to read. The part where she catapults to fame and fortune, not relatable, but like everything before that. Like, I almost like read the first 3 chapters again and again because I find them like so true to what I'm currently experiencing. But again, not a self-help book, not going to get you out of your quarter-life crisis, just going to validate your feelings.
Hi, it's Editing Jay. Second wind, second interruption, apologies. But I just wanted to throw something else out there. So a YouTuber called Going Spaceward wrote an original song that was based on this book. And, I just took a break to listen to it, and tears. Do you see that? I listen to the song like once every few months, and every time, anime tears. Like, what? It's a good song. It's a great song even. But it's not fog up your glasses with your tears good. You know what I mean? I'll link it down below because the song is such a bop and I want more people to listen to it. But please manage your expectations. Like, it's not gonna move you to tears. I just want to include this clip to show you just how deeply rooted that this book is to my quarter-life crisis. I don't know what's wrong with me. But I do know that my quarter-life crisis is officially over when I can listen to the song and not cry. Thank you for your patience through the second interruption. The video's almost over, but okay, bye.
But yes, those are the 4 recommendations I have for you. Those are my 4 personal comfort reads for my quarter-life crisis. I hope they were relatable. I don't know if they were relatable. They were deeply specific to me. But I'm really glad that you stuck around to the end. Also, do you have any quarter-life crisis related books? I would love to grow this list. I'm totally open to more quarter-life crisis books. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. And I will see you in another video, perhaps.